Yo, this Ace Deuce, and you're watching Texas Plug TV. Tap in, man. Ace Deuce. Ace Deuce, Houston, Texas, man. Fifth Ward represent, man. Man, life was a struggle, man, growing up, just like any other inner city kid, growing up in the ghetto in the 70s. I'm a 70s baby. So, what I'm saying, growing up in the 70s, the 80s, crack epidemic, a lot of drugs, a lot of crime, my mom, my dad, what I'm saying, they worked hard. My mama worked the hardest, She kept the household together and everything. Dad kind of struggled, Daddy was on drugs, what I'm saying? He kind of was out there a little bit, And like I say, man, we just struggled like every other family, man, trying to get by. Well, in my era, when I came up, the guys that I was raised on was like the Ghetto boys, So Scarface, Willie D, Bushwick, those were my role models. And that era was more of a, gangster rap, gangster hip-hop era. Talking about what was really going on in the streets, what was going on out there in the field. And, when Ace Deuce, when I first formed Ace Deuce, that was kind of like, that's what we was representing too. The first album was called Coming Up in the Ghetto. And we took it on my block, over there in Bucktown, Fifth Ward. And, man, just a real life struggle, real life stories from the hood, on how we grew up. And it's kind of along them same lines. Well, Lil J, of course, Jay Prince, owner of Rap A Lot Records. He from Fifth Ward. Willie D from Fifth Ward. You got the Fifth Ward boys, 007, Low Life, E-Rock. They all from Fifth Ward. Man. Yeah, I actually did songs with everybody that I just named except Willie D. I did song with the Fifth Ward boys. I did a song on the realest niggas down south, which Lil J put out back, I guess in 2000, 99, 2000. Yeah, that's the one with Will on there. I'm on that album. The song we did is called Throw It Up. So, yeah, we put it down with the king now.
So let's back up a little bit. What does Ace Deuce mean? Where did you get the name Ace Deuce?
Well, the word Ace and Ace Deuce actually are the initials of my names. So my first name, middle name, and my last name, the same acronym for Ace. And when I thought of the name, it was like, what comes after Ace besides Deuce? And when I was coming up, you kind of, when you named yourself, you had a two-part name. Like Ice Cube was one of my role models, so you got Ice Cube. I want to say in high school. In high school, well, I've always been a writer. Ever since middle school, I've always wrote. I've always wanted to write poems. I wrote in my journal, all kind of writing. So I would say music first came to me high school. High school was like, I did my first demo tape with my homeboy Big Kobe. Shout out to Big Kobe. I did it first, in high school. No, I didn't play no instruments. I played ball in school, football, basketball, track. So I was pretty athletic. I went to Fur High School. Eastside High is what they called it back then. I want to say right after high school, I went to college. I went to TSU for a little while. But I was kind of stuck. I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to major in. I don't, and I had just had a passion for the music and the rapping. And I was like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. So I can't find nothing to do in college. So I dropped out of college and I went straight into the game, straight into the rap game.
So was there anybody out or around that influenced you and inspired you to want to do that?
Well, outside of, like I say, the guys I grew up on, the guys like Ice Cube was a role model, Scarface role model, outside of that, just seeing that it was possible, seeing those guys come up. I think Fifth Ward Boys they came out right before I started kind of putting it together. So just seeing guys from my hood and just guys in the city put it down, man, and, yeah, Coming Up in the Ghetto was the first album that Ace Deuce put out. Me and the homies, it was actually distributed by Priority Records, so it was like a major, we had a major deal. Our first album was a major deal. Like I was telling you earlier, the first song that I produced that went to the radio was called Swisher Sweetness, like a smoke anthem. We was all smoking back then. Nah, that was just a single that I put out independently under my own label. And then,
So basically, like you jumped right off into music and your music went straight to the radio.
Straight, man, it was a blessing, man. It was amazing because, yeah, I jumped off into the music. I knew a guy who worked for 97.9. He introduced me to the program director that worked there. He listened to that song, Swish of Sweetness, and they played it on the radio. And then Matt Hatter was with 97.9 back then. And they would play it from time to time on a show they had called Straight from the Streets that came on Sundays. And it actually made like song number 10 at the end of the year. Swish of Sweetness was number 10 song out of all the local Houston songs, at the end of the year. So after that, one of the labels in town hooked up with a graphics company called Pen and Pixel Graphic. The lady who worked for them hooked us up with this guy who ran a label here in Houston who had a priority record deal. And that's how we got hooked up with the deal to get the priority deal. That's it. R.S.F. Yeah. Ride, Smoke.
Okay. So tell us how that song came about. Like, do you remember the first time you heard the beat?
Man, I know Mike B is the one who did the beat. The beat was different at first. All I know is that I came up with a hook, man. I was just, before the beat was ever made, I just thought of that hook. For some reason, I just wanted to come up with something catchy, something dope. And I let Mike hit a hook. He came up with a beat. That beat was dope. But then he was like, you know what, man, I want to kind of put a remix on it. And this was during the time Notorious Big was hot. Biggie and Puffy and them, they was hot bad boy. And it had kind of like a East Coast down south feel to it. And man, he put that beat together, man. That beat was phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. And it hit the streets. By this time, we had that priority deal. So, we kind of let a lot of DJs hear it. So the DJs was really feeling it. We put it out in the streets. And man, that joker just, I really didn't think it would do that. I just thought it was a hot song for the streets. And it was dirty. Ride, Smoke. And you know what the F mean, you know what I'm saying? So it was straight for the streets. So I didn't have no clue that it would even do what it did, and they told us to do a radio version. We're like, well, how we gonna do the radio version of that? So we just changed the F to ooh. So it was Ride, Smoke, ooh. So what's up? And man, we put it on the radio, and man, the rest is history, man.
How did things change? Like, once that song actually, came out and started hitting the radio, how did things change for you?
Man, people just start blowing up the phone, man. Blowing up the phone, booking shows, man. Booking shows. We was all over Texas, all over the South doing shows, man. Just going back and forth. Biggest accolades. I would say the album that first album, Coming Up in the Ghetto, which R.S.F. was on, it had nationwide distribution. Probably done sold over 100,000 copies. That's my biggest accolade up to this point. Just that album kind of put the stake for Ace Deuce throughout the nation.
From your perspective, it's like the overall impact and legacy of Screw.
The impact was global and phenomenal, I would say, because it created a form and a style that could only be authentically from Houston. So yeah, the Screw impact was incredible, man. It was like something that you had never even seen before. And the way people just gravitated to it and caught on to it. We actually were at a car show. My man C-Note, shout out to C-Note, Botany Boy, shout out to C-Note. A couple months ago, C-Note sent me a freestyle that I was doing and a couple more of my partners was doing with Screw. He recently sent it to me, but this was, man, had to be in 97. Had been 97. Screw been dead since 2000. Since 2000, rest in peace, DJ Screw. But man, and it was incredible because I kind of forgot about it. He sent it to me. And it was just incredible. We was on that freestyle, Screw in the back on the wheels at a car show, and it was like,
so this is actually video footage?
Yeah, this is actually video footage. Yeah. I didn't post it, man. I just how you had nostalgia. So I was just like, whoa, man. So, but yeah, it's something that I probably will post in the future. But it was super dope, man. Super. I have been, let me think. Well, DJ Screw definitely put the R.S.F. on one of his tapes. Definitely. Not me in there freestyling with Screw on one of his tapes, no. But the R.S.F. has been on there, and on the album they put out called The Legend, Ride Smokers on that album, a DJ Screw album called Legend. Right. Well, I know that Northside dudes, which I'm from the Northside, Northside dudes were known for rob. They were known for jacking. So dudes from the South Side, Lil Kiki and them, shout out to Lil Kiki, he came out with a freestyle, and on the freestyle he was saying something about, because they from that North Side and they thinking about jacking. So I think the Plex probably had been around, but when they put it on wax, it got a little bit bigger than that, you know. So it was kind of like, you know, North Side ride red, South Side roll blue. Even though Southside was riding red, no, Southside rolled red, Northside rolled blue. That's what it was. That's what it was. And the Plex was just, man, from I think it spun from that, from dudes getting jacked for their swingers and kind of getting robbed, and the dudes from the North Side was known for doing the rob. And when the Screw Phenomenon came out, and then Michael Watts, Swishahouse and them came out with a similar slow down tone, the Southsiders didn't really like that as much. They didn't like that. Now, thank God nowadays all that's done died down. Everybody mingling together. Is no more. I don't think it's no more Southside Northside play. Yeah, but yeah, it was kind of, you know, it was kind of sticky back then. You know, I was on a couple Swish House tapes though. Yes, yeah, chopped up.
Okay, so what was it like working with Michael Watts?
Man, it was stove, man. Like Watts was a technician, man. He stayed in the lab. He was always working, always working. So when we got kind of hot, you know, he invited us out, man, and we went in there and we did it, man. And he even chopped up a few more songs for us after that. I can't even lie. It's been that long, man. So no, I don't remember. Shout out to Michael Watts, the whole Switch House, G Dash, all them boys, T Ferris.
Comparing the music in the '90s, comparing, you know, fast forward to what's going on now, how would you compare and contrast the climate that we're in musically and the industry wise compared to how it was when you was dropping tapes and going worldwide with your
Well, back then when we was putting it out, it was mainly a lot of dudes doing independent. We were pressing up the material on our own. Back then, the youngsters don't know too much about this, but we actually had cassettes, the square tapes that, you know, we sold those out the trunk. People was buying them. We sold them to distributors, also retail stores. We sold CDs back then. And the style was more of a laid back style. It wasn't that animated. Like nowadays you see a more of an animated style. You see the H Town sound is not really what it used to be. I mean, but I applaud all the new artists that are from H-Town that's doing their thing to kind of broaden our sound and broaden the horizons, because I don't think we should be put inside a box either. And the climate now, I mean, it's like a total 180 degree change now. And now we living in a digital age. So, you know, everything is download, everything is streamed. You know, you got Spotify and Apple Music and all this here. And, man, and the social media, you know, there was no social media back then in the 90s. So it's kind of like the climate now is just definitely oversaturated. Definitely everybody trying to do something. But you see a lot of good talent, a lot of great talent, should I say, coming out of H-Town.
as an artist, since there's no more physical, you know, for the most part, there's no more physical CD sales and things of that nature.
Yeah.
How do artists make money off of music?
Streams, man. Streams. You gotta have your streams up. You gotta have your social base up. And once you're doing your social base, shows. So streams, shows, and to be honest with you, for guys like myself that's been in the game for decades, there are still stores throughout the world who buy CDs, but they're more of collectors edition. So you can still make money off CD. CDs are still selling. They still selling. A lot of CDs are selling overseas though. Not necessarily here in the States, but you got over in the UK, China, Sweden, places like that. Amsterdam, they still buying them, man.
Are these stream sales as comparable to like when you were selling CDs?
Of course not. No, they're not. Like a stream is worth less than a penny. So I think they broke it down the other day. I heard on an interview. 1 million streams on Spotify, I think it's $4,500. So if you gonna make money, if you gonna make some serious money, you're gonna have to have 100 million streams to make $450,000. I think on YouTube, 1 million streams is $2,500 for YouTube.
So what is making? Yeah, somebody just told me they got
Yeah,
a million streams, they got a check for $2,300.
yeah, around that.
So
Yeah.
why do so many people want to rap? That's what I want. Why do so many artists? What attracts people to the lifestyle?
I think the fame, and I think what they see on videos, what they see on blogs, what they see on social media. They really think they want that life. They want to live that life. The fast cars, fast women, the clothes, the jewelry, all that's luring a lot of people in. But they don't understand the work that you really got to put in to really be successful in rap.
So speaking of the lifestyle, also I want to talk about like again from the era from what you remember when you started to now, like how has things changed as far as the lifestyle with the music?
As far as the lifestyle, I would say if you want to include fashion, like a lot of guys are into fashion now. We wasn't more into fashion back then. Like it was more white tees, baggy pants. We weren't really wearing a whole lot of designer. Nowadays, you see guys in a lot of different designer, different, whoever the designers are, the Louis, the Gucci, all that stuff. Nowadays, the drugs are a whole lot more prevalent nowadays than they were back then. Now, back then, we were smoking weed. We were sipping lean. I always had alcohol, you know what I mean? But now it's more so a barrage of drugs, all the pills, the perks, the mollies, the ups and downers, handlebars, all that really we wouldn't know that back then. But now you see that's kind of widespread now, the culture. I think a lot of it is just entertainment. I think you rarely find guys who are really doing what they say they're doing on the mic. I mean, I think that the way you can tell is by the success. Guys who really telling the truth, whatever that truth may be. How does people say I'm speaking my truth? I don't believe in my truth and your truth. I believe it's the truth. It's either fact or fiction. So if they really doing what they saying that they doing, you're gonna see them be successful because they telling a true story. And the truth gonna set you free, regardless of what truth you telling. Yes, because in the culture, it's a lot of death talk. It's a lot of street talk. It's a lot of gangster talk. I mean, you can go all the way back to Tupac and Biggie. I'm a firm believer that the words you speak out of your mouth is gonna have a serious effect on your life. So if you speak death, don't be surprised if death come knocking on your door. If you speak life, don't be surprised if you keep on living. So I just really feel like, it has a whole lot to do with the hip hop culture, the street culture, and it's just the vibe that a lot of these youngsters is on. Man, it's serious out here, man. It'll definitely come up and catch you, yeah.
Right. So if we're seeing as history has shown us over and over, like you said, since Tupac and Big Needy before then, people like Scott the Rock.
Yeah.
Things of that nature.
Violence, yeah.
If we've seen this over and over and over, why do you think that? What you think attracts us to this? Like, why do we continue? The next day we pick up the mic and the same thing.
Man, I just think that people are willing to risk their lives over money and over fame. I mean, life is not precious to a lot of people, and even to oneself. It's all about your self-image and your self-identity. When you look in the mirror, what do you really see? And a lot of people are unsure of themselves. A lot of people have low self-esteem. Just because you got a lot of money and fame don't mean you're happy. So I think that reflects, and it spills over sometimes, man. And it's tragic. It's tragic, but it's like it's too many RIPs on the timeline. And then it's almost like death is celebrated when instead of it shouldn't be mourned. Death should be mourned to where you're sorrowful, you hurt. Now it's almost like, you hurt, but it's for a couple days. You get a t-shirt, you straight to social media with it, RIP, rest easy, peace, big hugs, like a trend. And that's alarming. Yeah, and it's consistent. It's a consistent thing. So many people are dying. Too many people are dying, if you ask me. And it's just like the pandemic, that in itself is an epidemic,
Do you think artists and entertainers or celebrities, but in particular we're going to talk about artists right now, do you think artists should be held, or do you think they are, in particular in your opinion, responsible for what they say in their music?
I think they should be held responsible for what you say in your music. I do, because words have life, and when you speak it out, that's the thing. It's almost like a bullet. Once you pull the trigger and the bullet has been released, there's no way you can pull it back. So that's the same thing with your words that you speaking out. You can't pull them back. And the influence that the artists have on whatever generation that they're speaking to, I do believe, that they should be held accountable, man, for the words that they saying, for sure. Including myself, I should be held accountable. We all should be held accountable for what comes out of our mouth. After being in the game for so long, seeing a lot of things that I've seen, Like we just was talking about Tupac and Big and just all the violence and the black on black crime. And just now it's done turned into a trend. And just me personally, after being in the business so long, I almost had a thought to just let it go, to like give it up. Like, man, what's the purpose? You know, you making music for the streets, but the streets ain't got no love. The same streets you making the music for, they'll slaughter you out in these streets if they don't feel like you feeding them or whatever. So it's kind of like I was thinking about giving it all the way up. And to be honest with you, I believe God spoke to me. I know God spoke to me and posed a question to me and asked me, have you ever thought about trying it my way? It's just clear as day to me right now. The voice came to my mind and was like, have you ever thought about trying it my way? And I thought to myself, like, well, no, I really haven't. And by this time, I got married. I started having children. You know, I grew up. It's kind of like you can't keep doing the same thing. Man, I want to say 2010. So 2010, I was probably around like in my mid 30s. So yeah, man, it came to me and just like, okay, if I'm gonna still do this, I need to come with a message. I need to have something to say. Purpose music, if I'm gonna do it at all or just back off. And I still had a passion to do it. So it's kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna try God's way. And that's when I began to take the profanity out of my music and just really try and come with something that's gonna make people think, something that's gonna make people turn. I want to make life-changing music at this point. And really, man, I want to talk to the youth, because if you be surprised, a lot of the youth, they don't really want to hear a lot of the stuff that you hear on the radio. It's bombarded with nothing against the people that they playing on the radio. Nothing against none of these artists. I love them all, man. It's just that there's a group of youth that are looking for a cleaner sound, or a purpose-filled sound, a sound that they can, yes, substance. And that's what I'm trying to do, is bring that to the youth, man. Show them a different way. My message is you can be all that you want to be, still be cool, and not be profane, not disrespect yourself, not exploit yourself, and it's still cool to have faith in God and Jesus Christ. I mean, that's my message to anybody from 8 to 80. You know, it ain't too late, because one day you're not going to be here. Nobody lives forever, but you do live forever. That's the thing. Just like we exist now, we will exist again. And where are you going to end up? And that's my thing. My message is to bring the people to turn. If you're going left, turn right. It ain't too late. I did it, and man, I got a long list of things that I've done. Ace Deuce, I want to be remembered for a guy who made great music, started out in the streets, but his life turned, and his life turned for good, to inspire, to motivate, and to rejuvenate those who may have feel like, man, I'm done or I'm lost. Those to be found, those to show it's never too late. It's never too late to live a good life. Because if you live good, you're going to earn good. It's going to end good. And that's me, man. That's the legacy. Who would I put on my, for Houston? Just for Houston? Just for Houston, man. Just for Houston. Houston Mount Rushmore. Well, I mean, I gotta put Scarface. Here's the thing, you know, the Ghetto Boys is such a staple, but they a group. That's the thing. So, okay, so if I could put them as one face on the mount, I definitely put the Ghetto Boys. Definitely put DJ Screw. What DJ? Yeah, he wasn't no rapper, but he was a DJ. But yeah, that's DJ Screw, man. Mount Rushmore, H-Town. Definitely J Prince. If you know, for influence. And man, I gotta say Slim Thug too. I gotta shout out to my man Slim. Shout out to Slim Thug, man, because the influence and the way he done it. So yeah, that'll be my mount, man. That'll be my mount, man. The Ghetto Boys, DJ Screw, J Prince, Slim Thug. I mean, but I just can't leave out though the Screwed Up Clique, man. And there's so many of them. Exactly, but it's like you got Fat Pat, you know, rest in peace. You got Hawk, rest in peace. And man, the thing about me and Hawk had a personal relationship, man. Like that was my dude, man. So, you know, you got Lil Kiki, you know, so man, but it's hard, man. The hardest out of the Screwed Up Clique. Boy, that's a tough one right there, man. Hardest out the Screwed Up Clique. Man, I would say Fat Pat if he still was living. But for the guys that's still alive, I gotta say Lil Kiki. I gotta give Lil Kiki his props, man. But oh man, Big Pokey, man. Still, that's like them my dudes, man. Big Pokey, man. Beyonce, man. The Queen of H-Town. The Queen of H-Town. The hardest rapper from H-Town. Champion. Man, the hood, man. Swangers. Innovator. Big Smoke. Big Smoke. White Chocolate.
What are things to do on a Sunday in Houston?
Man, ride, man. Drop the top. If you got that, take it downtown, see the sights. Favorite place to eat. Papa's, man. Papa's Seafood. The best advice I've ever received. Put God first and follow your dreams. That's the best advice I've ever received. Again, put God first. Follow your dreams. Don't sign anything without representation. Don't leave anything on the table. Give it 120% of what you got. Give it all you got. Give it all you got. Yo, this Ace Deuce, y'all about to check it out. That one is the R.S.F. on Texas Plug TV right here.